Yeah.
So this guy, how did you come up with a name?
So the name came from, it's gonna sound like a stoner story, but it's not. I wasn't even high, but I was like waiting for my buddy Day, actually, who travels with me, does tour management stuff and some performance with me. We've been friends for a long time. I was dropping him off at one of his buddies' house, and we were waiting for them to show up, so I was just like laying on the roof of my car, and I was looking up at the sky thinking, what would it sound like if the sky made sound? You know what I mean? Like, would that be kind of like a spiritual one-on-one thing, or would that just be like fucking like arbitrary noise, you know? It kind of gave me some direction at the time, so I went with that and just personified that into a name, I guess. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Dope.
I know that you started playing piano at a young age, and then
I did.
you stopped. So
Yeah.
what made you like pick up, like do it again?
So I stopped because I hated practicing and I was really lazy, which I still am extremely lazy. But my mom would always make me practice every day, and I hated practicing because I had to practice, you know what I mean? So I finally convinced my mom to take me out of lessons, and then a couple years went by and I realized that I couldn't, like, we had a piano, like a little upright in the kitchen, and I would always every time I'd walk by it, I'd want to sit down and play it. And I was like, I got to the point where I was like, okay, if I want to play it this much, I should get back into lessons, keep learning how to play better, you know, and advancing at this. So, yeah. I guess that's, yeah.
Have you always wanted to be a musician?
Oh yeah. Since I didn't even understand what it meant. I mean, it was funny. My mom was showing me videos the other day. She was texting me all these videos that she found on VHS from when I was a baby. I was like so little, like a year or two old. And there's like Michael Jackson playing in the background on like some movie or something, I don't know. And I'm sitting there like singing along, like conducting like horribly, obviously. But, like moving to the music. There's a video of me playing like a fake trombone along with like my sister or something. And then she doesn't have a video of this, but apparently when I was really, really little, like still a baby, when music would come on, she had this little like bouncy seat that was hanging in a doorway that I would sit in, and I would bounce like in time with the music. I would just start like bouncing along with whatever was playing. So I've always loved music, but I think once I got to high school, that's when I started hearing like a lot of electronic music and was like, oh, I want to make this like right now. This is awesome. So yeah.
So like in high school, you realized that you wanted to be an EDM producer?
Correct. Yeah. High school, I had a buddy, Dylan, who actually started showing me a bunch of like trance music, like Sasha and Digweed, Oakenfold, Darude, a bunch of this older like trance and progressive house music that is amazing. And so I went from there, found like Seven Lions and Gemini, and then got really into that. I loved like the dubstep influence, because I was also into a bunch of like post-hardcore music at the time, like Asking Alexandria, We Came as Romans, Attack, all those guys. And so dubstep came out, and that was kind of, or melodic dubstep, I should say, and that was like the blend of both things that I really liked. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So who's the biggest influence on you and why? And it hasn't changed since you were like when you were younger.
Ooh, I'd probably have to say Owl City.
Oh.
Yeah, which is interesting. But yeah, I've listened to Owl City for a long time, like from when he was putting out music on like MySpace and stuff. He had this album, he had a couple albums. There was like Maybe I'm Dreaming and Of June. Those were two albums that I started listening to, and then found all of his side projects. But his music is always so happy. Like all of his music is just happy. There's no aggression or angst, you know, which you need that music, and I needed that music. I listened to other bands with that, but when I would listen to Owl City, it was just like joy and happiness and like wholesome music in a way, you know. Didn't make any sense subjectively, but listening to some of his older songs, his lyrics were so like abstract and weird, but I think I liked it because I could apply my own meaning to a lot of it, you know, which is cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we got to see you at Lost Lands.
Oh, dope.
That was incredible.
Awesome. Thank you
But
so much.
your set has been moved a later slot.
It was.
So what were your thoughts, and like how much time did you like dedicate to like changing the set, or was it like the exact same set?
I played the same set. So I went into, mentally I did have a lot of struggles and stresses and anxiety going into Lost Lands to begin with, because it's Lost Lands. It's like Bass Nation, it's dubstep out there, you know what I mean? Like
some heavy shit.
Yeah, well so that was the debate. It's like, do I drop heavy stuff because that's what everybody's going to want to hear, or do I show up and do my thing, and if people respond to it well, awesome. If not, then they'll know what I'm about at least, you know, and they'll understand the kind of music that I make and what I enjoy. So I was convinced that I was going to do that going into it, but then the morning of, they were like, hey, so your set got moved to like 10 p.m. And I was like, what? Why? Oh, God. Because originally it was like 2 or 3 in the afternoon, and I figured, okay, cool. It won't be that bad. I can like start off the day with some chill shit, and they can wind up to the dubstep for the end, you know, like, it's not that big of a deal. But now, it's like the second to last set on main stage, and I have to play, and I'm going into it with a chill set. So I still did it. I was just like, whatever, I'm just going to do me and like hope people fuck with it. And it was great. A lot of the feedback that I got was...
It was incredible.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
So beautiful. Like,
yeah.
Made me cry.
Dope. Mission accomplished. Fuck yeah.
That's the whole goal.
It really is.
How long did it take you to create that set?
Quite a while, actually. I mean, I don't even know, because it was time going into all the songs that are in the set as well. If you add all that up, it's years in the making, essentially. But from the set, I mean, building a set like that can take a month or two of like really making sure everything, mixing songs like that, and the way I have the set built, it's hard to change anything once it's done, because it's so melodically tied in. Like, I don't know how to explain this in a quick way without getting into a bunch of music theory, but like, certain song, when you're mixing melodic music, it's hard to go from one song just straight into another song without knowing that, moving from the notes that this song is using to the notes that this song is using. If they're not anywhere near the same key, if you mix into the song, it's going to sound horrible. It's not going to sound good. So you can't just be swapping out like, you know, songs all over the place. So you kind of have to build it from the ground up and make sure that all the key changes are making sense and it's flowing and not sounding like trash. But yeah.
All right. Speaking about your album, how do you come up with a title? And yeah, like what does that
That's a really
mean
good
to you?
question.
That actually took a lot of time. We had, I was almost set on a name before Wide Eyed, and I'm trying to think of what it was. I almost can't remember. I literally can't remember what it is, but we went through a few names before we landed on it. Do you remember what it was?
I remember like going through like discussing it.
Yeah.
I honestly don't.
Yeah, I mean, so it was a huge collaborative effort. I mean, in the end, between, you know, me, Day, my manager, Ashley, the label owner, Lucas, over at Seeking Blue. But I can't remember how we stumbled across Wide Eyed.
Wide eyed and like innocence.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying, like, how we got to that in the first place was very... No, you're good. You're good. Yeah, we went through a bunch of different names at first, and then we stumbled across Wide-Eyed, and I personally loved that just because the definition of wide-eyed is like childlike innocence, I think, is one of the definitions that I found somewhere, and I love that. Like, it's very... It represents what, like, so much of what I want to represent with my music. It's just like being a kid, not giving a fuck about what anybody thinks, you know, just like, I don't know, I feel like when you're a kid, you get so much more excited about stupid shit. Like, I don't even get that excited about really cool things nowadays, you know? It's like very rare that I find myself as excited about anything as I was about silly things when I was a little kid. So I like the idea of that, as well as just the nostalgia of that overall, which I love trying to work into my music in some way or another, you know, just like the feeling of being young again and memories, you know, and like bringing up in a good way, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, hopefully that answered that. That was
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. So,
Is there a song on Wide Eyed that's actually like has a special meaning for you?
it's tricky. There's a few of them that do, for different reasons. A bunch of the songs on the album mean very different things to me for different reasons, but I would say one of them with the biggest meanings would probably be Never Gone, which is the last song on the album. Nice. Yeah.
Good choice. That is the correct answer.
Nice. That one was crazy. Like, I don't even know how that, like, that one was I don't want to say miracle, because I think that's a little too far above the word that I'm looking for, but I had the instrumental done. I started just by working on an instrumental. I didn't have the lyrics in mind or anything yet. I was just working with the music at first, and I got most of it done. And for some reason, while I was working on the song, I had this like visual in my head of like what it would be like to lose like my mom, like what that would feel like if I ever got a call from anybody that was just like, your mom is no longer, like what that would feel like, and like how often I just like take her or anybody in my family for granted. You know what I mean? She's always there. She's always there for me. My dad's always there. But just the idea of losing like a parent, you know what I mean? Like this far, and just them not being there anymore. You can't see it. And like, those are the feelings that I got while I was building the instrumental out. And then I had sent that to Curly to see if she wanted to write over it. And then before we got on a call, and she was like, yeah, I really liked it. Before I even had a chance to say anything, she was like, it made me feel it gave me the feeling of like a beautiful goodbye, like a death, but the beauty in that, how they're never gone and they're always going to be with you in their own way. And I was like, yeah, that's exactly what I wanted for it was crazy. So yeah, she nailed it. She hit the nail on the head as far as what I wanted to portray through that song, I guess. But yeah.
That's awesome.
So yeah, that's a cool one.
Since you mentioned the artist that was featured in the song, how do you actually find people that are like singing? Like,
right.
Do you know who you're gonna contact while you're writing the song, or after it's like done?
Sometimes it can work either of those ways. Honestly, there's so many ways to go about making a song. I mean, sometimes I'll just start, like in that case, I just started an instrumental. I didn't have any plans in mind for the song. I was just like, okay, let's see what happens. I'm just gonna like dick around on the computer for a little while and see where this goes. And I had heard Curly a million times previous, on like 7 Lions songs. I've heard some of her own music. I had known who she was, and so I knew that I think she could do that song justice, and accomplish what I would have hoped to accomplish with the song. But then there's other times of like my manager will do some digging on SoundCloud and try and find like really good vocalists or like vocalists that sound nice, and then she'll send a bunch to me so I can listen through those while I have time, you know what I mean, and tell her like, ooh, I like this one, I like this one, I like this one. And then at that point we'll reach out to them and be like, hey, here's a folder of instrumentals that need vocals, you know what I mean, if there's any of these that you really like and want to work with them on. Or the opposite, where we can reach out to them and be like, hey, do you have any like top lines written that you've already written that you need produced out or that you want production for? And so there's so many different ways of going about it, but yeah.
That's awesome. So when you play your shows, what kind of reaction are you looking for from the crowd?
I mean, it's really tricky. Yeah. Tears.
All right.
Tears is absolutely the main goal, but past that I would just say making sure that they're happy. If I see a bunch of smiles, I'm happy. Like, they don't have to be like raging out there. They don't have to be like headband. It's not that kind of a set either. So I'd be kind of confused. Apparently, which is crazy. It was pretty fun. Yeah, exactly. But which I'm down for. I'm so down if they want to head. But as long as they're happy at a set, that's my main goal. Is that they're happy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I've seen that you did the charity. Like you selected the charity for your electric family bracelets.
Yeah.
For Prosperability.
Yep.
And like, what drove you to select this charity?
I love dogs a whole lot. I really like dogs.
I miss my dog so much.
Man, I want a dog I want a golden retriever really bad.
Oh, that's such a good choice.
They're the sweetest, dude. They're just the most lovable dogs. But yeah, I've always loved dogs. I grew up with a couple, and yeah, it just made sense for me. I wanted to I don't know. I just liked it. It just looked like a good charity. They looked like really good people, and what they were doing I really appreciated, so it made sense.
So I assume you have a dog.
I don't. That's what I'm saying. I want a dog so
Have you seen
bad.
his Instagram stories, Misconnection?
Yeah. Yo, nice.
I fucking love those.
Heck yeah.
Just dogs.
Yeah, it's always
All it is.
airports is like the biggest thing. I normally, like, if I ever see a dog, like a really cute dog in an airport, I'll snag a little video of it because I miss it, and then I'll throw it on Instagram. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So we got one more question, and
What is it?
Okay, so I know that you were roommates with Illenium. So is he a good roommate? And what were some annoying habits you could spill out?
Horrible roommate. He was the worst. No, he was actually an amazing roommate. If this interview was backwards, I think he'd actually have way more to say about me as far as being an annoying habit person than I do about him. No, he was honestly great. I honestly, to this day, I feel like I really don't have anything at all to say bad about him. Like, really, I can't think of a single, like, annoying thing that he would do. Like, we would both be up really late making music, which if I was somebody living with him and I wasn't making music, that could be annoying, but I was always up with him working on the music, so that doesn't really count. I was always, like, the messy one. back when we first moved in together, I just like, I would never do dishes. I would never like clean, you know what I mean? So he would get pissed at me for that, rightfully so. But yeah, no, I feel like he taught me a lot about so much, both with music and just about life, you know, being like a good, like a human, you know? Like, I feel like I learned a lot about who I am and who I want to be through him, and I think that's pretty cool, but yeah.
Alright, that's great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate
course.
your time. That was awesome.
Yeah.
That was great.